Collected Stories by Donald Margulies. Our characters are Renee Hewitt playing Ruth Steiner and Hazel James playing Lisa Morrison. Act 1, Scene 1. Late afternoon, September 1990. The Greenwich Village apartment of Ruth Steiner, a writer. She is reading a short typed manuscript while dipping mandel bread in tea. A jazz station is on. She makes notes in the margins. The downstairs buzzer sounds. She finishes making her notation. The buzzer sounds again. With no urgency, she gets up, opens the window with difficulty, it sticks, and calls to the street below.
Hello? Hello, up here.
Oh, hi.
Yeah,
Lisa, remember?
I'm throwing down my key.
What?
The buzzer doesn't work. I'm throwing down my key.
What? I can't hear...
My key. I'm throwing down my key.
Oh, you want me to let myself in?
Yes, that's just what I want you to do. I'm throwing it down, back up. I don't want to hit you.
What?
I don't want to hit you, back up. Jesus. By the tree. No, yes. Yes.
Got it.
Good. 3F.
What?
Apartment 3F. F, as in fucking can't believe this.
What?
F, as in Frank, 3F. Oh, is it me or is she deaf?
She tries to shut the window, but it's stuck.
Oh, for God's sake.
Ruth continues to struggle in vain to shut the window. Soon, Lisa Morrison, breathless from her trek upstairs, appears at the front door, which had been ajar all along.
Professor?
Yes, come in.
Hello. I'm sorry I'm late.
That's all right.
I hadn't checked my mailbox, so I just got your note. We were meeting here and not your office like 15 minutes ago, and practically ran all the way. And then on top of that, I got lost.
Still struggling with the window.
Yes, well...
You need help with that?
Why, yes. As a matter of fact, I do. Why? See if you have any better luck with this, will you, dear?
Sure.
The damn thing's warped, and I'm freezing.
Lisa puts her book bag down on a chair and crosses to the window. Ruth wraps a throw blanket around herself and watches Lisa work on the window.
It's stuck.
Yes, I know it's stuck. It sticks, these goddamn old windows.
Have you got a screwdriver or something?
A screwdriver?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, all right.
Lisa continues to try to maneuver the window while Ruth exits to the kitchen and rummages through drawers.
There's a particular angle. I've found it before. You have to... if you jiggle it just right. My arthritis. I couldn't find a screwdriver. Try this.
a spatula?
Yeah, see if you can...
Lisa wedges the spatula between the window and the frame.
Oh, there you go.
Lisa manages to get it closed.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. I do windows. So, hi.
Hi.
Ruth picks up Lisa's assignment.
It's nice to be here. I mean, I was beginning to think I was never going to find this place.
Oh, really? Why? It's not that difficult.
Well, I know, but you know how you're walking along and all of a sudden West 12th and like West something intersect?
Yes.
And it's like, wait a minute, what is going on here? Like Alice Through the Looking Glass or something.
Yes.
Anyway, this is such a neat place. It's so nice of you to have me over.
Have you over?
You know what I mean.
Well, I hardly think of this as having you over.
I know, I meant
This isn't exactly a social call.
I know.
I do this from time to time, meet my students here.
Uh-huh.
Mainly because I'm a terrible slug, and if one of us has to schlep, it may as well be you.
No, what
You're
I meant...
younger.
What I meant was it's so nice to be in a real home for a change, where a real person actually lives, with real furniture and books and art and stuff. I mean, graduate students, they don't live in real places with real histories. My apartment, I mean, it's so makeshift and sad. milk crate bookcases and ratty old furniture, completely lacking in dignity. And the surfaces are always sticky because nobody really cleans up after themselves. What?
You're Lisa.
Yes.
Lisa Morrison?
Uh-huh.
You wrote Eating Between Meals?
Uh-huh. Why?
You wrote this.
Well, this is my tutorial. Remember, we had a tutorial.
Yes, I know, but isn't that funny? I thought you were someone else.
What do you mean?
You're not who I thought you were. I confused you with another student.
Oh,
I really should start paying attention to those goddamn seating charts. My memory is shot to hell. I had someone darker in mind, in all respects. I decided that Lisa Morrison had to be that serious young woman.
oh.
Yeah, that mousy Anita Brookner type, the one who never makes eye contact.
Janet?
With that dreary dark girl with the long bangs that look like she trims them herself by chewing on the ends. Ugh. Who wears those terribly long tartan skirts.
Janet Spiegel. Yeah.
That's right. That's Janet Spiegel. Now, why did I think she was you?
Are you disappointed?
What?
I mean, that I showed up looking like me and not like Janet?
No. It's just that you don't particularly look like your story. Very often, almost without exception, my students tend to look like their stories.
Isn't that interesting?
I've prided myself for years for being able to match the student with the story. I'm so rarely wrong.
So you're saying I don't look very serious?
What?
I mean, no, that's okay. I'm just curious. You said you thought the person who wrote the story was a serious-looking person. That's what you said. So am I not a serious-looking person?
Young lady.
No,
you're not-
I'm curious. Am I?
No, you're not.
Oh. Oh, but wait. If you thought the story I wrote was written by a serious person, does that mean you thought it was a serious story?
Perhaps. Can I offer you anything?
Yeah, sure, thanks.
Tea or...
Actually, I would love a cup of coffee.
Well, actually, I don't have coffee.
Oh.
Well, actually, I don't drink coffee. I have tea.
Oh, okay. I'll have tea.
English breakfast?
Do you have anything herbal?
No, I have English breakfast.
English breakfast will be fine.
Good. English breakfast it is then.
Thank you.
Lisa looks at the bookshelves, picks up an old leather-bound volume.
Oh, what a beautiful edition of Middlemarch. My copy is falling apart. I've read it so many times.
She briefly looks at it, returns it to the shelf, and continues browsing. She finds a story collection by Delmore Schwartz.
Wow. In Dreams Begin Responsibilities. I love In Dreams Begin Responsibilities.
She flips through the book.
I love where he's dreaming he's in the movie theater watching his parents' courtship on screen, and just as his father proposes to his mother, he shouts out, no, here it is. Don't do it! It's not too late to change your minds, both of you! Nothing good will come of it, only remorse, hatred, scandal, and 2 children whose characters are monstrous. I love that.
She finds an envelope stuck in the book.
Oh my God. Is this letter really from Delmore Schwartz himself?
Put that back, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Just put it back.
Sorry.
She steals a look at Ruth's comments on her typescript. The phone rings. It rings again.
Phone.
She isn't sure what to do.
Phone. Hello? Professor? Ms. Steiner? Do you want me to get it?
No.
The ringing continues. Ruth enters with a cup of tea and snack food on a tray.
Oh, thank you.
The ringing continues.
Is your machine working?
My machine?
Because it's ringing a lot. Shouldn't it pick up after like 4 or 5 rings?
I have no machine.
Oh, you have no machine?
Why?
Really?
What do I need a machine for?
I don't know. I mean, I would think someone as important as you. God, how do you live without an answering machine?
If it's work related, they'll call my agent. If it's my agent, she'll know to call back later. My friends would know the same.
What if it's an emergency?
I have no children. My parents are dead. What could possibly be so urgent?
The ringing continues.
Look, why don't you just answer it and tell them you'll call them back?
I don't want to answer it. Why should I answer it? I have company.
Oh, who?
You.
Oh, right.
The ringing stops.
See that? Couldn't have been that important.
Lisa samples a piece of Mandelbread.
This is good. What is it?
Mandelbread,
Mandel.
a Jewish biscotti.
She demonstrates by dipping the cookie.
Oh.
Lisa dips one and spills some tea.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
You know, I'm really much more together than this.
Are you?
But I'm like really nervous.
Oh, are you really? Why is that?
Why? Because I can't believe I'm here, okay? I can't believe I'm sitting in Ruth Steiner's apartment on Ruth Steiner's sofa, sipping tea with Ruth Steiner out of Ruth Steiner's china teacups.
Oh, come now.
No, I mean, this is where you wrote The Business of Love, isn't it?
Well, here and on the Vineyard, a lot of places. On buses, in restaurants, on the Broadway local, but yes.
Oh, and this is the Matisse that hangs over Lydia's bed in all the wrong places.
Yes.
I remembered the dancers. She imagines herself dancing with the dancers at the end.
That's right.
And that's the playground where Joanna's little boy and the silent child falls and gets a concussion, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is.
Eric,
Eric?
the little boy's name?
Oh, I'll take
Eric.
your word for it.
How long have you lived here?
You don't want to know.
Yes, I do.
A very long time.
Like 10 years?
No, more like 31.
Wow. 31? So you wrote every story you practically ever wrote here, didn't you? Under this roof, in these little rooms. And these are the books you read.
Oh, please.
This is the floor you paced. This is the view you saw from your window.
Oh, knock it off. I think you're going a little overboard, dear, honestly.
Why? You think I'm sucking up to you?
Well, it has occurred to me, yes.
I don't mean to. What I'm trying to say, Ms. Steiner, in my very clumsy, stupid way, being here, studying with you, it's like a religious experience for me. No, really, it is. I mean, your voice has been inside my head for so long, living in this secret place, having this secret dialogue with me for like years. I mean, ever since high school, when I had to read The Business of Love, I mean, from the opening line of Jerry, darling, that was it for me. I was hooked. You had me. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to be.
Oh, dear. I did all that.
Yes. I read all your stories, all of them, like 5 or 6 times. I devoured them. I couldn't get enough. I kept wanting more. I even went to the library to look up your uncollected stories.
Oh, my, that is devotion.
I sat there one day and read whatever I could find.
There's a very good reason why they remain uncollected.
Oh, no. They all have wonderful things in them. All of them. The 3 in the New Yorker, the ones in Ms. from like the early 80s, that amazing one in Esquire summer reading issue, you know, the Coney Island lifeguard one.
Yes.
So if I seem like a sycophant or an idiot or something, it's only because I'm trying to tell you what a privilege it is to be breathing in the same airspace as you. That's all. I write much better than I talk, so I should probably shut up.
Yes. I mean, you do write much better than you talk. Where'd you do your undergraduate work, Lisa?
In New Jersey?
Uh-huh. Where in New Jersey?
Princeton?
Yes, I think I've heard of it. Oh, Jesus. We'd better...
Oh, of course.
Otherwise, I could so easily see myself pissing away my entire afternoon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lisa gets out a notebook and pen.
Oh, just listen first. Why don't you try listening?
Oh, okay.
Don't immediately start writing down everything I say. Listen. Digest.
Okay. But what if I forget? I mean, I might forget something you say that's really important.
If you forget, it probably wasn't worth remembering in the first place. Not everything I say is going to be clever or wise, you know. You may think I'm full of it, and that's okay too. You're going to have to decide for yourself what is useful criticism and what is not. I'm not a doctor, you know. I don't dispense prescriptions. If you do such and such and such and such, your story will be perfect. It doesn't work that way.
If only it were that easy, huh?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you how to write because I can't. I don't pretend to know myself. Writing can't be taught.
Do you really believe that?
As far as I'm concerned, the university is taking your money under false pretenses. Talent can't be learned. It's innate. People who tell you otherwise are not to be trusted. They're snake oil salesmen, all of them.
John Gardner said, did you know him?
A little. He wasn't my type.
Well, he said something like, genius is as common as old shoes. Do you think that's true?
Oh, that is sheer and utter bullshit. Everybody and his idiot cousin's a goddamn genius? Please, never pay attention to what writers have to say, particularly writers who teach. They don't have the answers. None of us do. The good ones ask the right questions. That's the key. The ones who aren't so good, well, they have their own agendas, something that usually has to do with ego gratification. All I can do as an artist who teaches is tell you what I see, feed back to you what I see as a kind of reality test, and ask the right questions.
Do you really resent it? I mean, having to teach?
No, I enjoy it.
But don't you hate that it takes you away from your work?
I don't mind. I rather like the distraction. For one thing, it gets me out of the house, which is not a small thing. It gets me talking about what I do. Hell, it gets me talking, period. Otherwise, I'd be alone far too much and remain silent far too much, and I'm alone enough as it is. You develop bad habits when you spend too much time alone.
Is it true that you need a new assistant?
What?
I heard you need a new assistant.
Yes,
I heard she graduated and you haven't picked one yet.
that's correct.
Can I apply? I mean, are you taking applications or do you already have somebody in mind?
No, I don't have anybody in mind.
Well, then, can I apply?
You can do whatever you like. It's not exactly a glamour job. I can be a total despotic employer.
I don't care.
You don't, huh? Well, look, we've gotten off the track here. We're here to talk about this. All right, let's talk about eating between meals. I like your title, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's a good title. I wish I'd thought of it.
Really? You don't think it's too on the nose? I mean, for a story about bulimia?
No, I like it. I think it's got a nice, healthy sense of irony.
Thanks. Yeah, I kind of liked it too.
Do you have a news story in the works?
Yeah, I think I do.
Good.
It's about a divorced dad who takes his 12-year-old daughter to Disneyland with his new girlfriend, and the three of them share a motel room.
Wait. Don't tell me.
What?
Don't tell me about it. Write it. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, okay.
Telling takes away the need to write it. It relieves the pressure. And once that tension dissipates, so does the need to relieve it. First write it, then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we've got here.
The story's kind of autobiographical.
No.
I guess that was a stupid thing to say. It's obvious, right?
No, it's not that it's obvious. It's inconsequential. I don't care what the basis of a story is as long as it's a good story. Now, let's look at your opening paragraph. Where your protagonist...
Jessica?
Yeah, where Jessica goes into the supermarket. Who is Jessica?
Who is she?
I don't really have a sense yet of who she is. Tell me about her.
You mean you really want me to...
Yes.
Oh. Well, she was like the baby of her family. Had two older brothers she adored who were like 10 and 12 years older, who babied her to the point of domination and then went away to school and as far as she was concerned, abandoned her. Left her all alone to deal with her infantile, incompetent parents, just as their marriage was turning into an ugly suburban nightmare, who was pampered and pretty and all that, but felt worthless and undeserving anyway, and would do anything for attention, even if it meant hurting herself. Like that. Does that help?
Yes. The automatic door sprang open. I entered into a world
Wait a
of
second.
plenty.
You're going to read it?
Yes.
Out loud?
Yes. Why?
Oh, it's just... I don't know. I didn't know you were going to read it out loud.
Lisa, you're going to have to get used to hearing your own words. We're going to begin reading aloud in class next week.
You mean we're going to be reading our own stuff?
Yes.
Oh, God, you're kidding.
If you can't bear to hear your own words, how can you expect anybody else to?
I am a terrible reader. I have a terrible voice.
It's not about performance. It's about responsibility, about claiming ownership. That's very, very important.
Okay.
All right. Are you going to survive this tutorial or are you going to require oxygen?
No, I'm okay.
The automatic doors sprang open. I entered into a world of plenty, a cornucopia of temptation, of sustenance and sin, where the music of love was muzak and anything was possible.
What?
Anything was possible. I don't know. There's something terribly weak about that phrase.
Really? Weak? I'm sorry.
It feels too general, I think. It's unsatisfying.
Huh.
I like the music of love was muzak. I like that. I like the world of plenty, cornucopia of temptation. That's all very nice. Just think about that one phrase. Give it a little more thought. Good.
Can I write this down?
All right, if you must. Okay. I took a red plastic basket from a help yourself stack and made my way through the crush of harried women pushing shopping carts loaded with unruly toddlers past precarious towers of brightly packaged foods.
What?
That sentence. Maybe it's all those bloody adjectives. I mean, look at that. You've got a shitload of them. Harried, unruly, precarious. Lose some of them. You don't need all that. Less is more, for Christ's sake. Food was everywhere. Oh, thank God.
What?
A blessed 3-word sentence. The endless walls of cereal boxes in primary colors made me think of Christmas. Good, nice, clean, clear, specific, evocative. In the condiment aisle, I encountered an overweight little girl, her mouth and pink jogging suit smudged with chocolate, spinning herself around like a sugar-crazed dervish, her mad dance ending only when she dizzily collided with a wall of gherkins. 3 glass jars toppled in rapid succession, exploding onto the linoleum like fabulous green water balloons. Shards of glass glistened among the garlic pickles. The girl looked up, saw me, and grinned delightedly before taking off down the aisle, leaving her mortified mother and the briny mess behind her. Fabulous green water balloons. I love that girl. Where did that little girl come from?
Oh, her? That's me. It's a true story. Only it wasn't pickles, it was ketchup. But I thought ketchup might be too,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes. Do you know what you did here? You really don't, do you?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was struck by this idea of encountering myself as a child, you know? Like this specter in the supermarket, this fat girl with chocolate on her face, spinning wildly and making a mess of things, and pissing her mother off, and not caring she was pissing her mother off, but rather enjoying it.
Yes, that's right. Did you have any sense at all as you were writing it? Oh, this is good. This is going well.
I don't know, maybe?
Oh, sure you did. You must have. We all experience that. It's part of the thrill. It's when the muse takes over and one is channeling for the muse. The ice cream was displayed in a long corridor of frosty glass cases like precious Etruscan vases in a museum. Now here I have a question for you. Are you familiar with Etruscan vases?
Not overly, no. I mean, I've seen them.
Uh-huh. I would think about that image. Why Etruscan vases?
Why Etruscan?
Yes. Why not just ancient vases or Greek vases or whatever? What is it about Etruscan vases?
I don't know. I liked the word.
Uh-huh. It's a very nice word, isn't it? But why don't you go to the Met and sit with the Etruscan vases for a while and get acquainted with them? See if it's what you really mean to say.
You mean it?
Absolutely. We must never be arbitrary. There is so much goddamn arbitrariness in the world. We mustn't let it seep into our stories. God, not our stories. They're just too damn important. We mustn't devalue our stories with flippancy. That would be the death of us all.
God, that makes like so much sense.
She writes in her notebook,
Huh. Lisa?
Did you not want me to write?
No, that's not it. Do you mind if I ask you something?
Okay, sure.
Why do you talk like that?
Excuse me?
You have a tendency to add question marks to the ends of declarative sentences. Did you know that?
Oh, God.
When a simple declarative sentence will do, you inflect it in such a way. When I asked you where you got your bachelor's, you didn't simply say Princeton, a statement of fact. You said Princeton. You hear how my voice went up?
I can't believe I'm still doing that. I used to talk like that when I was younger.
I'm not saying you do it all the time, but you do it often enough for me to notice. And it's very striking because you're obviously an intelligent, gifted young woman. But it's really kind of dopey, if you ask me.
It is. It really is. It's awful.
Well, you're not alone. Most of my students speak this way. I'm not absolutely certain, but I think more young women speak this way than young men. And there's something almost poignant about it. All these capable young women somehow begging to be heard, begging to be understood. Can you hear me? Are you with me? Am I being heard?
No.
You've all cultivated this common dialect of American youth, a non-regional national dialect.
Is it television, do you think? That was a question. I think it's television.
Probably. Why not? We blame television for everything else that's going to hell in our society. Why not this too?
Well, it's a vicious cycle, I think. Television portrays young people in a certain way. Young people watch a lot of television, and it's really insidious. Like a media conspiracy to undermine youth or something.
But you kids are complicit in this. Role models are chosen. You're selling yourselves short.
By sounding like a bunch of airheads?
Yes! Listen to yourselves. Nobody's going to take you seriously in the real world. Who's going to take you seriously if you talk like that? No one. Why should they? If I were you, I'd do everything I could to erase it from my memory, expunge it from my speech center. The moment you hear yourself doing it, stop and correct yourself. Pretend I'm your mother telling you to stand up straight. Tell me to drop dead, but do it. You'll thank me for it one day, believe me. All right, let's get on with this. We haven't even gotten through the first page.
So, do you think I'm any good?
What?
Never mind.
Do I think you're any good? Well, it's a bit early to say, don't you think?
Yeah, but still, you must have formed some opinion by now. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, right?
20-odd years.
Right. So I'll bet your antennas are pretty well tuned. You know it when you see it, right?
This is your first tutorial.
I know.
Ask me again 6 months from now.
My parents, of course, think this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. And I've done plenty of things in the realm of the ridiculous. I'd hate to give them the satisfaction. Please. I just need to know if you think I'm wasting my time. Am I? That's all I need to know.
No, I don't think you are. I wouldn't retire just yet if I were you. You have a lot of work to do, an awful lot. But the stuff, I think, is there.
The stuff? Really? You think I have the stuff?
It's very raw, mind you, but yes.
God. You're not just saying that.
Why would I say something like that if I didn't mean it?
I don't know, because I'm paying like all this tuition.
No, rest assured, I'm a terrible liar. My eyes grew wide in the dazzling fluorescence as I
Is there an
reached
actual application form I need to fill out, or can you just put my name on a list?
Again with the job? Young lady, I don't know what you think this job is. I wouldn't want this job.
Why not?
Nudging me about this and that, doctor appointments, conferences?
I can nudge.
I assure you, there are a lot better things to do with your time than babysit an old fart like me.
I don't care.
Well, if you really want to apply,
Yes.
apply through the office, talk to Mrs. Gonzalez.
Mrs. Gonzalez?
She has the applications.
Okay.
My eyes grew wide in the dazzling fluorescence As I reached inside the icy freezer for the macadamia brittle, my heart beat quickly in feverish anticipation, as if I were preparing for a tryst with a lover and not for an after-school binge. Nice.
Scene 2, May 1991, night. Lisa is puttering in the apartment, sorting through piles of books and papers, making them more orderly. We hear keys jingling at the front door. She excitedly goes to it.
Oh, hi. Wait, hold on a sec.
She unlocks the door. Ruth enters, carrying overnight bags.
What are you doing here so late?
I got your mail and watered your plants and stuff and decided to stick around and wait for you. Welcome home.
Lisa takes her bags.
Thank you.
If you had told me what train you were catching, I would have met you at the station. You wouldn't have had to schlep so much.
That's all right. I took a cab.
So, how was Washington? I mean, I know how Washington was. You were so fabulous.
How do you know?
I saw you on C-SPAN.
Oh, God, you're kidding.
Oh, no. You were so great.
Really? How did I look?
You looked wonderful. You were so poised and funny. They loved you.
Who?
The committee.
How could you tell? It was like talking to a convention of undertakers.
That was so funny when you said, "You're politicians, I'm a writer. We all have our crosses to bear." That was so great. You didn't seem nervous at all.
I wasn't.
I would have been a wreck.
No, it's all a show. All of it. I was just playing a part. The feisty older woman who cracks wise and gets away with saying just about anything. If she were alive today, Thelma Ritta would play me in the movies.
And what you said about a few inches of immortality on the library shelf, that was beautiful. God, when you talked about how you nearly gave up writing to work for that plumbing company, I didn't know that happened.
It didn't.
What do you mean?
It didn't happen.
But you said,
I know.
you mean it isn't true?
There are elements of truth in it. I did do office temp work, and I was offered a full-time job at a plumbing supplies company, and I did get an NEA grant. But never for a moment did I seriously contemplate giving up writing.
Well, then why
Why did I say that?
why did you lie?
I didn't lie. I exaggerated.
Isn't that the same thing?
Tell me, would I have made a compelling case for the National Endowment before the House of Representatives if I had simply recounted the facts of my career? Absolutely not. Where's the drama if there's nothing at stake?
While looking through her mail,
So, using the elements of truth, I spun a tale. I threw a crisis into the mix and allowed myself to be rescued at the 11th hour by the U.S. cavalry. I exaggerated. What is art if not an exaggeration of the truth? Made a good story, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. God. I sorted everything. Mail that looked important, I put here, and everything else. Boy, you sure do get a lot of catalogs and junk. More than I do, even.
Ruth dumps a pile in a wastebasket.
I would have thrown all that out, but I wasn't sure if you liked looking at catalogs. I mean, some people do.
How long have you been here?
A few hours. No, more than that. I came over to water the plants and stuff.
Oh, so you said.
I stayed and read here a while, I confess. It's a good thing I was here. You got so many calls. So many people were expecting to leave a message on your machine. But then, of course, I'd have to explain that you don't have a machine. So then we talked about that. Ed, Dr. Al called. Ed. I was talking to Ed. It was so surreal. Don't worry, Professor. I tried not to embarrass you. I didn't gush too much. Or at least I don't think I did. I didn't want him to think you had hired an idiot for an assistant or anything.
Ruth stashes some letters on her desk, but disoriented by its lack of clutter, stops.
What happened to the pile that was here?
Oh, I straightened up.
Oh, no. Why the hell did you do that?
Remember before you left, I asked if you'd like me to straighten up a little bit.
Straighten up, yes. Reorganize my life, no. I did not authorize you to reorganize my life.
I'm sorry. I really didn't do anything other than
I thought straighten up meant you were going to take a schmata and dust. Dusting is something this place could use. How am I supposed to find anything?
Just ask me. What are you looking for?
Ask you? I don't want to ask you.
I'll tell you exactly where it is. I didn't throw anything out or anything. I just made neater piles.
I didn't want neater piles. I liked my piles the way I had them.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
There
mean
was
to-
a method to my madness, young lady, which served me well most of my life.
I'm
Thank you very much.
Really, really sorry. I was only trying to. I'll put everything back the way it was.
Just leave it alone.
I'm sorry.
Oh, shit. You're not going to cry, are you?
No.
Lisa heading for the door.
Well, good night, Professor. I'm sorry for any inconvenience.
Oh, for God's sake. Lisa. Hey, get over here.
What?
Thank you for checking my mail and watering my plants.
You're welcome.
Let me give you a check.
No, I don't want to check.
No, let me. It was above and beyond the call of duty.
You don't get it, do you? Put it away. Please. You know, all I want so much to please you, you know? And no matter what I do, it's wrong. I always seem to get your disapproval when it's the opposite I want so badly. All these months, ever since school started, it's been both wonderful and excruciating working for you. I mean, to be so close to you when I admire you so much. But every day I see you, it's like a test. What faux pas will I make? What will I do today what will I do that'll annoy her today?
No.
Yes, it's true. There's always something, some invisible line I've crossed or something I've bungled out of sheer panic.
Panic?
Yes, you intimidate me so much. When I show you something I've written or even when I talk, I think, what value could my words possibly have to her?
Oh, dear.
You're so... I knew you were difficult. You told me as much. But you really seem to take pride in being difficult, and that I don't understand. I've said too much. Look, maybe I'm just not cut out for this, you know? Maybe I'm not. My skin's not thick enough. Oh, well.
She struggles to remove Ruth's key from her keychain and then sets it down.
I'm sorry I touched your things. I thought you would appreciate it. I'm sorry.
Still not looking at her, she heads for the door.
If you're hungry, there's dinner in the fridge.
Oh?
It's nothing. I made a little tuna niçoise, that's all. If you don't like it, that's all right. Just throw it out.
I'd love a salad.
Good.
Thank you.
It's in the fridge, so whenever you...
That was awfully thoughtful of you.
I figured you'd come home late and everything. Well, enjoy it. Good night, Professor. See you in class.
Why don't you join me?
Oh, no, I couldn't do that.
Why? Do you have other plans?
Not really,
Is there enough for two?
I suppose.
Then why don't you join me?
Um,
You wouldn't leave me all alone, would you? Not on the night of my Washington triumph? Sit down.
Lisa hesitates, then approaches the table. Ruth picks up the key, hands it back to her, and starts for the kitchen.
I can do that.
No. Sit.
Ruth exits. Lisa puts the key back on her chain and sits at the table. Ruth returns with food and plates on a tray. Lisa takes it from her. Ruth turns on the radio, then joins her.
This looks perfect.
They set the table together in silence. Ruth helps herself, then passes the bowl to Lisa.
Help yourself.
Lisa takes the bowl and serves herself. Lights fade as they begin to enjoy their first meal together. Scene 3. About a year later, August 1992. Sunday brunch. An electric fan is blowing. Ruth is seated. Lisa enters from the kitchen with a tray of iced tea in the middle of a heated discussion.
Not only is it appalling that he seduces this girl,
How do you know he seduced her?
Ruth, of course he seduced her. He must have seduced her. It wouldn't have taken much. Those photographs, I'm sure she was in awe of him. This famous older man. He took advantage of her youth and inexperience.
Well, that's not very fair to her, is it? She's a thinking, feeling young woman. Isn't it possible they both fell in love?
Oh, please. Woody is not in love with that girl.
How do you know?
How could he be? It's all about his narcissistic need for control. That's what it is. You know how he finds these women and remakes them in his image? They all even start talking like him. Did you read her interview in Time? It's like all of her answers were scripted. He put the words in her mouth, I'm sure of it.
Listen to you.
Anyway, it's not only is it appalling that he did it, but that he doesn't seem to think there's anything wrong with it. That's what's so galling. No moral dilemmas whatsoever. Did you see that in here?
Meaning Time magazine.
How could he find no moral dilemmas whatsoever?
He wasn't looking, so he didn't find any.
His girlfriend's daughter?
ex-girlfriend's daughter, adopted daughter.
So what? He was practically still a father to her.
Not her father, not this. It's not the same.
Why isn't it? They were together 12 years, most of that girl's life. If he wasn't her father figure then. And what about the 25 other kids she's got? Huh? How do you do that to them? He's fucked up a whole family.
Well, now, he says he never looked twice at the girl.
If you believe that shit.
Well, maybe it's true. Maybe she was there all along and he suddenly awakened one day to her irresistible charm.
What, like Gigi? Ruth, come on. This is aberrant behavior, don't you think? Hitting on your ex-girlfriend's daughter?
When something like this happens, it's hypnotic, it's magnetic, it's irresistible. There is no reason. Reason and morality have nothing to do with it, particularly when the girl is as naive and impressionable as Miley, or whatever her name is. The allure of a famous older man is an incredibly powerful thing.
Well, that's provocative, Ruth.
Yeah, well, never mind you. Why is gossip so delectable anyway?
Gossip's gotten a bum rap. It's a neglected art form. Our new literature. It's got everything. Mythology, spectacle, Oedipal drama, morality play.
I don't know. I think it's that we've all got this whopping case of schadenfreude. Gossip is fun. It's fun to watch the mighty stumble and fall. Let's face it. We gawk and gasp and click our tongues, but deep down inside, we're gloating our asses off.
I'm not gloating. I'm hurt.
Why are you hurt? Why are you so personally affronted?
Woody was supposed to be the great moralist, the conscience of our age.
Bullshit. Who said? A couple of critics? The guy makes some clever movies and already he's the conscience of our age? Honey, nobody asks to be the conscience of an age. That's a hell of a thing to have to live up to.
I mean, at the end of Hannah and her sisters, what did he show us? That domestic happiness was finally possible, even for a loser like him. There was hope for all of us. And now look, it all turns out to have been a sham. I feel so betrayed.
How were you betrayed? Lisa, I don't see it. The lines got blurred, that's all. You've mixed up the persona with the man. He's entitled to a private life, for God's sake. I don't give a shit what he does in private. I don't want to know about it.
Why are you defending him?
I'm not defending him.
Yes, you are. And I'm finding it very irritating, Ruth. I really am.
I want to know why you're so worked up about this. It's more than a movie star misbehaving, obviously. You've forgotten he's a movie star. Movie stars misbehave all the time, always have. That's what they do. That's why we invented them, so they could act out for all of us. It's not the misbehavior. It's what it represents.
Oh, well, thank you, Dr. Freud. So, what are you saying? You're saying that I'm still pissed at my father for leaving my mother?
Well, now that you mention it, darling.
All right, so? Look, I already went all over this with my shrink yesterday. A whole session on Woody, Mia, and Daddy Dearest.
Can you imagine the therapeutic impact Woody's little indiscretion is going to have? Thousands of people lying on couches all over Manhattan moaning to their analysts about it.
I couldn't believe the shit that poured out. Feelings of rage and betrayal, abandonment, like I was 12 years old all over again. My father isn't talking to me, by the way.
Oh, really? Why?
I don't know. I gave him the Disneyland story to read.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, and he hated it.
Well, that's no surprise.
He was furious. Catherine was so upset she cried. How could you do that to her? I didn't give the story to Catherine to read. I gave it to him. Why would you want to hurt us like this? She's only gone out of her way to be nice to you. God, it was horrible. I never should have written it.
Well, that just wasn't an option. You had to write it.
Didn't I?
Absolutely. The question is, why'd you give it to him to read? It's not a very flattering portrait.
I know.
So why'd you give it to him?
I don't know. So he'd have some idea of what I'm doing. He has no idea. He hasn't read my stuff since high school.
Well, the Disneyland story was a pretty tough introduction to
Yeah,
your work,
I
don't you
suppose
think?
so. But I didn't want to be secretive about it. That didn't feel right either. I thought I was doing the right thing.
What did you hope to accomplish? To gain his respect?
I don't know.
His approval? To show him what a good little writer you are?
I guess. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted his approval. Pretty infantile, huh?
Well, then why'd you give him this particular story? I mean, you could have given him one of the more benign stories to read if you were interested in having him read something, couldn't you?
Yes.
But you chose to go right for the jugular. And I think that's very interesting.
If I'm gonna write what I know, it's inevitably gonna hurt some people's feelings, right? Somebody's feelings are gonna get hurt.
That's true. That's a risk you're just going to have to take. You can't censor your creative impulses because of the danger of hurting someone's feelings,
Even if it's my father's?
even if it is. If you have a story to tell, tell it. Zero in on it and don't flinch. Just do it. You know the photographer Robert Capa? He took the famous picture of the falling soldier during the Spanish Civil War.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, right. He said about his work, if it isn't good enough, I didn't get close enough. And the same could be said for fiction. You've got to get in there and shoot. I guess what I want to know is, why just show him a story he never had to see?
Well, actually, he would see it. This was sort of a preemptive strike.
Oh?
It's being published.
It is? Well, how did that happen? I mean, I thought we'd already heard from everyone we'd sent it out to.
We did. I also sent it to Grand Street.
Grant Street. Really? But I thought we decided not to send it to Grand Street.
We did.
Well, I thought we decided that wasn't exactly the right journal for it, and I didn't know anybody there.
Right. But I decided to send it in anyway, just for the hell of it, and see what happened.
Oh. But what about a letter? You didn't ask me to write them a letter, did you? Because I don't
No,
remember.
I just sent it in with a cover letter of my own, you know, the basic.
Well, and they're publishing it.
Uh-huh. That's what they said.
Well, how do you like that? Didn't seem like their cup of tea at all.
I know. That's what we thought.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks. It'll be in the winter issue. Not the fall, but the winter, out in December.
Well, isn't that nice? You'll be a published writer.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your first published story. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Well, we'll have to celebrate.
Yes, let's.
What did they do? Call you? Write you?
They wrote me
Uh-huh. When?
the other day.
I've spoken to you every single day this week, and I didn't hear a word about a letter from Grand Street.
I just found out.
The other day, you said.
I don't remember when exactly. What difference does it make?
Well, it is sort of curious. I mean, why didn't you call me immediately?
What?
Why wasn't I the first person you called?
Oh, Ruth. Maybe you were. You'd never know. If you'd bother to get a machine.
Oh,
then...
so you're saying you did call me, or you might have called me?
Ruth, I don't understand this.
I just think it's very curious, dear, the person most invested in your progress, and you wait till now to tell me? In a most roundabout way, I might add.
Ruth, you're reading way too much significance into all this.
Am I?
I'm telling you now. I told you today. I wanted to tell you face to face.
I thought you said you tried calling me.
You're impossible, you know that?
Did you? Did you try calling me, or was that a convenient lie?
Why would I lie?
Well, I don't think you're being totally upfront with me.
Ruth.
What's the matter? You didn't think I could take it?
What?
You were cushioning the blow?
What blow?
You thought I'd be threatened by your success?
No. I didn't tell you. I felt a little funny. I guess, because I submitted it on my own.
Oh, but you'd hoped, of course, they'd accept it.
What?
Admit it.
It's just a little journal. Nobody really reads it anyway.
Lisa waits for Ruth to respond, but she doesn't say anything. The phone rings 4 times. Neither answers it. An extended silence sequence follows in which Ruth reads, sips iced tea. Lisa stretches out on the sofa with her back to Ruth, flips through the Sunday magazine, works on the puzzle, nibbles on a bagel, etc. Ruth, feeling a bit remorseful, glances at Lisa, but continues reading. Lisa sits up.
Ruth, tell me about Delmore Schwartz.
What?
I want to hear about you and Delmore Schwartz.
What are you talking about?
Tell me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He was your famous older man, wasn't he?
Oh, for God's sake.
Wasn't he, Ruth?
I never said any such thing.
I know, but he was, wasn't he?
How did you get that?
It didn't click till just now when we were talking about Woody.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I'm right, aren't I? I am. I can tell. Oh, come on, Ruth.
What do you want from me?
I want you to tell me.
There's nothing to tell.
Ruth.
It's really none of your business.
All right. Okay, look. If you don't want to tell me, that's okay. I understand. I was only trying to get you to talk to me. But if you don't want to tell me, I understand. No, really?
Oh, it was 1,000,001 years ago. Another lifetime. I was quite young.
How young?
22, but a young 22, and innocent in many ways. A virgin. I was a good girl, a nice Jewish girl, a passionate girl, one of those passionate virginal girls who'd read Dickinson and Hopkins and sob her eyes out. Poetry was my love, my romance, my religion. What a time.
When was this?
57, 58. The city was teeming with beatnik poets and old lefties, smoky bars and late-night sessions. Every once in a while, you'd glimpse a Ginsberg or a Berryman on the street, in a bookstore. The 8th Street, the Gotham, or the Strand. And the rush of possibility would intoxicate you and keep you plodding along for days and weeks. Until your next close encounter. I'd come to the city from Detroit to be a poet, of course, and took an apartment, a tiny walk-up on Grove Street above an Italian restaurant. The place smelled of garlic, always. It was wonderful. My pillow smelled of garlic, my clothes. I had a roommate named Elaine, who was also from Detroit, the daughter of a friend of a family friend, and an aspiring actress who would soon marry a rich man and give up her dream forever and die of breast cancer at the age of 39, and the only soul I knew in all of New York City. One sleeting night, Elaine schlepped me into a bar on Hudson Street, the White Horse Tavern. And there, sitting in a booth, his wide, handsome moon face shining, his big voice booming for all to hear, whether they liked it or not. There, performing for the 2 adoring pretty co-eds that sat at his table, there was the great poet, Delmore Schwartz, mad prophet, squandered genius, son of Europe, America, and Israel.
Ruth, this is so wonderful.
We sat across the aisle, Elaine and I, and he included us in his rant. I don't know about DiMaggio 1 minute, Kierkegaard the next. After midnight, the first team of cheerleaders grew tired and left, and Elaine and I moved our drinks into his booth. Seeing his shining face across the table now, his eyes darting about, gleaming with brilliance, there was so much going on in there. And he was already way past his prime at this point. He was gray and bloated and going to seed. His overcoat reeked of stale smoke. His teeth were baked yellow from tobacco. That enormous head and those widely spaced eyes. There was still something magnificent about him. He had been quite beautiful once.
I know. I've seen pictures.
So yes, the power was undeniable. He was only 44, but there was something ancient about him. He seemed to possess so much wisdom, and yet even then, even that first sleeting night, he seemed doomed. What sheltered Jewish girl from Detroit, what self-styled poet, what virgin would not have succumbed? And I was pretty then, too.
I'm sure. I know.
You've seen pictures.
Yes.
Well, pretty enough. Shapely, anyhow. I looked damn good in those tight co-ed Lana Turner sweaters. I was good company for a man like Delmore. Being my father's daughter had provided me with years of practice. I was a good listener, but I also had a real mouth on me, which he'd point out frequently with pleasure. I'd tease him, provoke him, take outrageous positions just to get a rise out of him, which I always did. I stuck by him for over a year, but he was descending rapidly by then. He was quite mad, you know. Oh, he had his moments. Lucid, marvelous moments. But when they came, the rampages were fiercer and fiercer. He could be cruel, inconstant. His aura sustained me. I'd go to his awful rented rooms when he was out, you know, sordid furnished rooms with a sink and a hot plate, and wash the dishes that had piled up for days, and clean up his mess, and mend his clothes, and he'd come in and never say a word of thanks. One day I let myself in and found another bright-eyed girl lovingly washing his socks in the sink. "Oh," she said, surprised to see me. I turned around and left and never came back. You probably know the rest of the tale, how he was staying in one of those hotels when he died in '66, how his body lay unclaimed in the morgue for days. The years pass, and the years pass, and still I see only as in a glass, darkly and vaguely, waiting in grinding misery for the fountain of poetry to flow and overflow once again.
Wow.
Poor schmuck. I don't talk about this. Why'd you make me talk about this?
I'm sorry.
It's too painful conjuring up that girl, that affair. I sewed that man's trousers. I held him when he woke up in a cold sweat. I took a lot of shit from him in the name of poetry. I'm not particularly proud of all that happened, and yet it was my shining moment.
No, it wasn't.
It was. It was.
And you've never written about it. Really? How come?
Some things you don't touch. Listen, I don't mean to be a big old baby.
Oh, Ruth.
You know I'm happy for you, don't you?
Of course, I know that.
I'm very, very proud.
I know. I know.
Ruth envelops Lisa with her arms and holds her very tightly. She is distracted. Her smile fades. End of Act 1. Act 2, Scene 1. Nearly 2.5 years later, early morning, December 1994. Ruth is seated, reading the book page of the Daily New York Times. Lisa, still wearing her coat, restlessly monitors Ruth's reaction.
What?
I was clearing my throat.
Well,
It's good.
yeah.
It's very good.
Oh, God.
Do you want me to read it to you
No, no,
or
no, no,
not?
no. Just the highlights.
Just the highlights, huh? All right. Well, the closing paragraph is to die for.
It is?
You sure you don't want to read
No,
it
no, no,
yourself?
no. I want you to.
Okay. Despite the occasional misstep,
Shit. Wait, there are missteps?
minor, not to worry. Despite the occasional misstep, Ms. Morrison's is a distinct, albeit youthful voice that must be reckoned with.
Oh, God.
In the dozen compact, well-observed stories that comprise eating between meals, she proves herself a keen and clever chronicler of the new lost generation. Wow!
What was that? A keen and clever...
Keen and clever chronicler.
Lisa takes the paper and looks it over.
Our little critic seems to have been bit by the alliteration bug.
As in Tolstoy. Whoa. The unhappy families in Ms. Morrison's universe are uniquely compelling.
All right, maybe you shouldn't read it. You'll start believing that shit.
Okay, so she doesn't like Family Reunion.
Neither did I.
She says I try too hard.
Yes.
It's stylistically self-conscious.
I wasn't going to say I told you so, but
Oh, good. Look, she likes Disneyland. A harrowing story in which a pubescent girl is forced to confront her father's sexuality. That's good.
you know what the problem was with that story? That story.
What story?
Family Reunion. It was too fancy. All those interior monologues for all the members of the family. You didn't need all that. Remember, I told you?
I thought you weren't going to say I told you
Well,
so.
it is stylistically self-conscious. She's right.
Uh-huh.
You know how it came off? It came off as a young writer showing off some pyrotechnics just to prove how versatile she is.
Okay. Wow.
How do you feel?
I don't know yet.
That's a splendid review, you know. It doesn't get much better than that.
I know.
Your life will never be the same, you know, from this morning on.
Thank you very much.
Now, when they print their lists of promising young writers, you'll be on them.
Oh, God.
You're on the map. Yesterday, you were undiscovered country. Today, you're on the map. Good for you, sweetie.
Why do I feel so awful?
That's understandable. There's nothing worse than getting what you want. Now, what do I have that we can toast with?
It's not even 9 in the morning.
Ruth, exiting the kitchen,
So what? We have to celebrate. After The Business of Love came out, you know, I was a total mess.
You were?
Oh, God, yes. I sank into a terrible depression.
Really?
Ruth comes back in.
I thought I had a bottle of champagne, but it's one of those sparkling ciders somebody brought to Thanksgiving years ago that nobody ever drinks. Do you mind?
Ruth returns to the kitchen.
You really got depressed?
Oh, yeah. Ugh. It took me months, maybe years, to get over it. That is, if I truly did. It was a terrible shock, recognition. I was so inured to living in obscurity, writing my little stories and shipping them off to these tiny esoteric journals. I thought I was looking at the rest of my life.
Returns with glasses and opens the bottle.
I'd given up hope. No hope was the code by which I lived. It was strangely comforting. It left little room for disappointment. I was a bit older than you, a rather late bloomer compared to you. The Times played me up quite a bit. I was hailed as a brave new voice, an urban balladeer. I had my finger on the pulse of the city, they said, or some such nonsense. They put me on the cover of the book review with a picture of me wearing these terrible, I can't believe I ever wore them, harlequin-like glasses. There I was, the new lady writer of the moment, smiling painfully at my desk, not knowing what to do with my hands. You've got to view this purely as an economic development. Maybe some grants will start to come your way, some neat opportunities, and that's very nice. But the fact remains, you still have to do the work, and you still have to put up with assholes. Only now, doing the work will be harder, and the assholes you'll have to put up with will be of a slightly higher echelon of assholes. And that, as far as I can tell, is the definition of success. To perseverance, hard work, and the New York Times.
Amen. I couldn't have done it without you, Ruth.
I know.
I mean it.
I know, dear, so do I.
So what do I do now?
You'll do what you need to do.
I don't know what that is.
It'll come. You'll figure it out.
How long should I give it?
However long it takes.
What if it never comes?
Lisa?
What if this is it?
Come on.
No, seriously, what if I'm a one-book wonder?
Oh, please. You're not.
How do you know? What if I'm not really a writer after all?
Lisa, Jesus, stop doing this to yourself.
Everything I've tried to write, all these weeks waiting for the book to come out, I don't know. I've got to come up with something bigger than myself, outside of myself. I've got to get out of the suburbs. I need to get away from people my own age. It's hell being the voice of a generation.
That title is what, 5 minutes old?
I've blown the lid off of bulimia in the suburbs. Whoopee! Big news, right? What do I do for an encore? It all seems so small now, so puny.
What does?
My whole world. Disaffected youth, disaffected parents, sex and drugs in the family room. Mother drinks, father cheats, you name it, I've told it. Crammed everything I know into a mere 186 pages. And that's with title pages and like a large print edition typeface that I find really embarrassing. It's pathetic. I looted my diaries for tasty morsels. My frenzied, angst-ridden adolescent jottings, I stole whole chunks.
We're all rummagers. All writers are. Rummagers at a tag sale, picking through the neighbor's discards for material, whatever we can get our hands on. Shamelessly. Why stop at our own journals?
Well, the truth is I'm not so angry anymore. I mean, I'm in treatment, okay? I moved to Chelsea, so now what do? I've done my parents, I've done my family. I'm not angry with them anymore. Fuck them. I write all day, allegedly. I don't see anybody. I don't go anywhere because I'm allegedly writing all the time. My boyfriend's a lawyer. Need I say more? My friends are all boring because they're all in exactly the same place I am. And my life? I have no life. Every little quasi-idea that pops into my brain seems so banal, so television. So I spend my days writing alleged stories about creatively paralyzed women in their 20s who lived in cramped but cozy Chelsea apartments. You were lucky.
Why was I lucky?
You had all that rich, wonderful Jewish stuff to draw on.
Why was that luck? That was what I knew. I started out writing what I knew, just like you and everybody else who writes.
Yeah, but that culture, that history, the first generation American experience and all that, nothing in my experience could possibly approach that. What do I have? WASP culture, which is no culture at all.
Oh, really? Tell that to Cheever and Updike.
Oh, God. I've got to write a novel, don't you think? Isn't that what they want?
Who?
Isn't that what they expect? The literary establishment. I mean, in order for me to be taken seriously.
Why? I never did.
Yeah, I know, but don't you think that hurt you?
Hurt me?
I mean, not not hurt you, but don't you think it affected you? Affected your reputation?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why? Do you think it did?
No, I just thought that maybe you felt that way.
No, I don't. Why? Have I ever said as much?
No, it's just as I see it, and maybe I've got it all wrong. But as I understood the game, the well-received first collection is like a rite of passage. The well-received first novel is coming of age. It's arrival, acceptance, proof that you weren't a fluke.
I don't know who came up with those rules, but I certainly never played by them. As far as I'm concerned, a writer is a writer, no matter what form that writing takes.
I don't know. I think maybe this is the playing with the big boys thing of mine. You know, that I can't possibly play with the big boys. It probably has something to do with my father always telling me how I couldn't do things. This subtle form of sexism. Not so subtle, really. Subversive. What if the Sunday Book Review hates it?
Honey, relax. They might not even review it. Or if they do, it might be one of those perfunctory little blurby things that nobody pays attention to anyway.
Well, the advance word must be pretty good. Publishers Weekly and Kirkus, they liked it.
Uh-huh.
And Mirabella's doing a piece on me, did I tell you?
No. See?
They want to take my picture. Should I let them?
Why not?
I don't know. It doesn't seem right. I should be writing, not doing photo shoots.
What the hell? It's only a picture. It might be a damned good picture. Enjoy yourself. As long as you don't wear Harlequin glasses.
I wonder if they'll let me keep the clothes.
Lisa!
You know how you hear how men can't handle success? Men get famous and it's all about sex. I get my first little taste of fame and all I can think about is shopping.
Tell me, I've got to ask you something.
What?
Maybe this isn't the right time. It's your day.
No, tell me what?
Do you realize it's been over a week since I gave you my new story and you haven't said a word?
Shit, I know, I'm sorry.
I
I'm
gave
sorry.
it to you because I was anxious to hear what you thought.
I know, and I was incredibly honored that you did.
Well, but you've probably been too busy and distracted and haven't had time
Well-
to actually...
Actually, I did read it.
You did? Oh.
I read it the night you gave it to me. I liked it very much.
Well, then why the hell didn't you tell me, you little shit?
I don't know. I didn't know what to say.
How about I liked it? That would have been great for starters.
Well, I mean, I wasn't sure of the protocol.
Protocol with me?
I felt shy. You'd never given me a new story of yours to read and asked me what I thought before.
We're colleagues now. The morning paper confirms it, doesn't it? So tell me, what did you think?
I told you.
All right, so you liked it. What did you like about it?
Ruth.
Come on, kiddo, voice of the generation, speak.
I liked the characters, the mother and daughter.
Did you find them believable?
Totally.
Why?
It's what you do, Ruth, like nobody else. The way you capture the essence of relationships. I mean, the structure is so brilliant. These two women squabbling in the kitchen over the years while baking birthday cakes. You're amazing.
Cut the flattery. I wasn't fishing. I want to know what you thought.
You really do.
Yes.
Okay. I had problems with it.
Ah, well, now we're getting somewhere. What kind of problems?
Well, you do such a beautiful job of creating these quirky, utterly recognizable women. I saw a lot of myself in Emily, actually. And then, I've got to say, I felt really manipulated and disappointed by the ending.
Oh? Disappointed? How?
I mean, sentimentality is not your thing. It never has been. It's such a wonderful story, but giving the mother a terminal illness, you didn't have to do that.
Really?
You begin to fall in love with Martha, even when she's being hypercritical of everything Emily tries to do. I mean, she even has something to say about the way Emily pours vanilla, for God's sake. But she's funny and honest, and Emily seems to know how to hold her own with her, and they're fun to eavesdrop on as Emily grows up and Martha grows old. So when you don't take them anywhere and don't resolve the relationship between them, I don't know, I felt really cheated.
But that's life, isn't it? What relationship is ever truly resolved? People, perfectly likable people, inexplicably, inconveniently, behave badly, or take a wrong turn, or get sick and die. It happens. Besides, the final struggle in the story is an internal one, Martha's, and it's not about her illness. It's about her inability to tell her darling girl that she's very, very sick. Those are two different things.
True.
It's as if saying it out loud would make it too real. It would let death into the room, and she can't do that.
No, you're right. I see it now. You're absolutely right. In the end, what makes it so moving is that you sense that this might be the very last cake the two women will get to bake together. That this prosaic little ritual is about to be wrenched apart. It's very, very sad.
So you were moved by it?
Oh, God, yes. I was just mad at you for killing her off.
Well, good. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. Thanks for reading it.
It was my pleasure. You're very welcome. It was a real treat to read Ruth Steiner's latest before anybody else.
What you have to say means a great deal to me, you know.
No, I didn't know that.
No? How could you not know that? It works both ways, you know. Am I supposed to just give and expect nothing in return?
No, of course
I can't
not.
just applaud you and pat you on your back and offer unconditional love and support. I've been your teacher, your champion, but I'm also your friend, and I could use a little reassuring too.
Ruth, what is it?
This is complicated for me, you know.
What is?
What's happening for you is very complicated.
Ruth, are you jealous?
Don't condescend.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
It's not about envy. Well, maybe it is about envy, but it's not professional jealousy. It's... You know what it is? I'm jealous that you have all of life ahead of you. I can't sit back and watch you do the dance that I danced long ago and not think about time. I can't. That's what it's about. Don't you see? Time.
She turns to Lisa and looks like she's about to say something. Lisa leans forward in her chair.
Cheers.
She downs her drink. The meaning of Ruth's behavior begins to dawn on Lisa as the lights fade. Scene 2. The auditorium of the 92nd Street Y, October 1996. Sound of applause. Lisa, wearing a flattering dress, nervously stands at a lectern and speaks into a microphone to the assembly.
Hello. Hi. Thank you so much for that. It's so nice to be here at the 92nd Street Y and to be a part of this long literary tradition. I'm really honored. Thank you. I never expected such a turnout. Wow. I'm Lisa Morrison, by the way, just in case you were in the wrong room. I'm a little nervous. Forgive me, I'm new at this. I've never spoken in front of so many people before. I guess as long as I speak clearly and with conviction, this should go reasonably well. It's important that you're able to hear me. At least that's what I was taught. And I was taught by a master.
She scans the audience looking for Ruth, but doesn't see her.
What I'd like to do for starters, I'd like to begin with an extract from my new novel. What am I talking about? My first novel, my only novel, Miriam's Book, which is being published next month by Viking. And then, if my voice holds up, I thought that I'd read one or two stories from my debut collection from a couple of years ago, Eating Between Meals.
There is scattered applause.
Oh, gee. Well, I feel like Joni Mitchell in concert all of a sudden. Do circle game! Anyway. I thought I would just start with the prologue. It's called Night Falls Fast, which is taken from a poem called Not So Far as the Forest by Edna St. Vincent Millay that appears in the beginning. Do you know that poem? Are you familiar with it? Shall I read it? Okay, why don't I? Not so far as the forest. That chill is in the air, which the wise know well, and even have learned to bear. This joy, I know, will soon be under snow. The sun sets in a cloud and is not seen. Beauty that spoke aloud addresses now only the remembering ear. The heart begins here to feed on what has been. Night falls fast. Today is in the past. Blown from the dark hill hither to my door. 3 flakes, then 4 arrive, then many more. From the window of my apartment in Washington Heights, I can see a sliver of Hudson between 2 gray-brown buildings and, beyond it, the high-rise towers of northern New Jersey. It is a still and sticky September night, and my window is open to the sounds and smells of West 174th Street. Across the way, down below, a souped-up car stereo blares salsa through a busted woofer, while an overweight middle-aged couple dances on the sidewalk, spectacularly in their bare feet. The constant cries of ambulances like loons in the city night mingle with the radiant blast of music and the particular gleeful noises of children at evening play. Somewhere out there on this Indian summer night, in a narrow, anonymous galley kitchen, someone is cooking with garlic. I find my mind drifting tonight while reading, or rather, attempting to read a poem by one of my first-year Columbia graduate students, a dreary, earnest girl who tries drawing a parallel between the sexual abuse she suffered as a child and the situation in Bosnia. The poem is unwieldy, pretentious, and self-indulgent, but tomorrow, in tutorial, over Mondel bread and tea, I will tell her it is ambitious. I had gotten to the bottom of the 3rd page and realized that I had absorbed not one word for some time. It was then that the timeless scent of garlic shocked my smelling sense and swept me instantly 9 miles south and 4 decades back to a crumbling but quaint railroad flat on Mulberry Street in the year 1957. I was young, very young, 22 in 57, a young 22, not only a virgin, but an innocent, a poet manqué from faraway Missouri, a Jewess from a place called St. Louis. New York had beckoned like a beautiful dark lover with smoky breath and bloodshot eyes. I swooned and flew into his vampire arms with abandon and left the stultifying beige safety of my parents' house forever. Giordano's restaurant was on the ground floor. Angelo, the chef, got his marinara started at 6 every morning by throwing crushed garlic into a huge sauce pot of scalding oil. I could hear the sizzling meeting of garlic and olive oil upstairs and imagine magnificent bursts of fireworks and symphonic crescendos greeting each fistful. The aroma traveled through the screen door at the back, up the rusted fire escape, into my open window and caressed me as I lay in my bed. So, when I am struck by the smell of garlic, as I was tonight, mixed with the dusty nighttime city air, I think of the intoxicating perfume of my youth, of that first summer on Mulberry Street, of long walks at all hours, of mildewy bookstores, smoky coffee houses, of poetry and promise. And I think of Emmett Levy. Emmett Levy, poet, madman, racketeur, the notorious and legendary Levy, great thinker, good poet, drunkard extraordinaire. At 44, he had lived too long but would not die soon enough. His death would be ungentle, attenuated over 9 desperate years, and I, a girl half his age, would see him through 7 of his final seasons in a variety of roles: lover, nurse, mother confessor, muse. I would love him and despise him, worship him and wish him dead. This is the story of those 7 seasons in heaven and hell, so many years ago when I was a girl of 22 and lost my heart to a beautiful dark angel, a poet named Emmett Levy. And that's the prologue. Shall I go on?
Scene 3. Ruth's apartment. Later that night. Ruth, wearing a cardigan over pajamas, stands at the window. Lisa opens the door, but the chain is on.
Damn. Ruth? Ruth, are you all right? Ruth?
Yes.
Ruth, thank God. Open the door. The chain is on.
What?
The chain. The chain is on the door.
Oh, so it is.
Are you all right?
Yes, I think so, as good as can be expected.
Are you going to let me in?
Oh, I suppose so.
She undoes the chain.
Thank you.
Lisa's carrying a grocery bag.
Your door is usually open. Since when do you use the chain?
Only when I'm expecting burglars.
What happened tonight?
What happened?
I was worried about you.
Were you? I didn't say I'd make it for sure. I said I would try.
I know, but still, I was hoping. I guess you weren't feeling up to it.
You could say that.
I brought you something.
Oh?
I wanted to bring you something. I didn't know what to bring.
What is it?
Cottage cheese. You said you had a craving for
What
cottage
size
cheese.
curd?
What?
The curd. The curd. What size curd did you get?
Large.
I prefer small.
Oh, of course. I forgot.
How could you forget?
I wasn't thinking.
The hell
I'm
with
sorry.
it.
I'll return it.
No, don't bother.
What would you like me to do? Would you like me to go down and see if I can...
No.
The Korean market is still open.
God, never mind.
Are you sure?
I'm sick to my stomach anyway. I can't keep a goddamn thing down. I must have a calcium deficiency. I dream of dairy products. Forget it. If I don't eat it, Monica will.
Monica.
My visiting nurse.
I thought her name was Beverly.
Beverly?
Lisa is picking up around the room journals, periodicals, mail.
Beverly? That was ages ago.
Sorry, I lost track. What happened to Beverly?
Irreconcilable differences. Now I've got Monica, who doesn't do housework. A big, beautiful, mocha-colored woman from St. Kitts with a bubbly, melodic voice. She calls me Mommy. Are you hungry, Mommy? Are you cold, Mommy? I hated it in the beginning. How dare this stranger patronize me like that? Then I started to like it. I liked being called Mommy. No one's ever called me Mommy before. I don't see you anymore.
I was here last week.
Not last week. Couldn't have been
So
last week.
maybe it was 10 days ago.
I'm telling you, it's been weeks. Monica's been coming for weeks.
Has it really been that long?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I've been busy. The book.
Yes, of course. The book.
Lisa's tidying.
I'll leave it.
You have junk mail here from Christmas.
You don't have to pick up after me. I can still pick up after myself.
I'm just straightening up.
Whenever you straighten up, things disappear.
Lisa flips through a New Yorker.
Did you read the Janet Malcolm piece in here?
Life's too short for the New Yorker.
It's good. You should read it.
She
I don't-
puts it beside Ruth's chair.
I don't have time to read. I have all the time in the world and no time at all. My life is a paradox. That's quite a lovely dress you have on.
Oh, thank you.
Looks expensive.
It was.
That's what you wore tonight?
Uh-huh. I wanted to look serious but sexy. Too much?
For the 92nd Street Y? Perhaps. How'd it go?
Actually, it went fine. It was fun.
Good.
There were a couple of candy wrapper crinklers that I wanted to kill, but aside from that,
I used to love readings. I loved playing all the parts and getting laughs. I loved the laughter. I'm just an old ham, you know.
I do know.
And it isn't just any old laughter. It's the self-congratulatory laughter of people who want you to know that they get everything.
This Barnard undergrad cornered me afterwards, saying she couldn't wait to meet me. It was really weird finding myself in a position of being pursued when all my life I've been the pursuer. But she really wasn't interested in what I had to say. All she wanted to talk about was herself. Ruth? Would you like some tea?
Oh, thank you. I would.
Lisa goes to the kitchen to put water on.
You know, I should have had children of my own. It's my own damn fault. Too picky. I never met a man I could see myself having a child with. Nowadays, the choice of partner would be totally irrelevant, I know, but it was a more conservative time then. Things were different when I was ovulating. I should have just gone ahead and gotten pregnant with the next unsuspecting man that came into my life, snared him for his sperm, and raised that child on my own. But I was never really the sort of woman who could do something like that. That would have required a brand of courage I sorely lacked. I was never truly bohemian, never. It was all an act. A reaction to the fear, no doubt, of being hopelessly conventional.
Lisa returns holding a saucer and a cup of tea.
It would have been good for me, I think, having a child.
Yes?
I might have become a different person. Better writer, maybe. Better human being, possibly. My life surely would have been different. Instead, I spent many, many years, too many years, nurturing other people's gifted children. The first day of every class I ever taught, 32 years, 32 first days, I'd scan the faces and try to predict who out there would one day dazzle me, who would thrill and astonish me with their promise. Who will it be this year? I'd want them like a vampire wants fresh blood. I'd want to fill them up with what I know, these beautiful, hungry, empty vessels, and watch them grow. I've had a succession of chosen daughters through the years, mostly daughters, a few sons. Unformed, talented, as susceptible to my wisdom as I was to their youth. But none I loved as much as you.
Ruth.
I read your book.
Yes, I figured.
Well, most of it, anyway. As much as I could possibly read right now. My eyes are stinging. There are tons of typos in the copy you gave me, tons.
I know, it's an advanced copy.
I hope they're planning on correcting them.
Of course they are.
I marked the margins anyway, force of habit. There are some truly egregious errors in there.
I know.
One whole section is suddenly repeated. I thought I was losing whatever mind I have left. Either that, or you'd gone Joycean on me. And experimental fiction, as we both know, is not your style. Lisa, if you had only asked me what I thought, if you had only asked me,
Ruth.
I would have told you you were making a mistake.
I didn't know what to do.
Stay
I didn't know
away
how to handle
from
it.
Schwartz. Leave him out of it. He's mine, not yours. Besides, he's been done to death, picked over by so many vultures in the name of literature. And Bellow finished him off for everyone. If you had asked me, if you had only asked,
Ruth.
if you had only asked my advice, forget my permission, if you had asked my advice, I'd have told you to look elsewhere. Leave him alone. Leave him out of it. They'll compare you to Bello, and your work simply can't support it, darling. It can't. You're not good enough. You may never be good enough. Why call attention to it? If you had asked me what I thought, I would have told you. But you didn't ask. Instead, you skulked like a thief, avoided me for 2.5 years.
No, I didn't.
Evaded my questions, failed to look me in the eye.
Ruth.
You did, my darling. I knew something was up. When you did come to see me, you couldn't look at me. I thought it was my appearance, that I was looking so awful. You couldn't look me in the eye.
No.
I could have used your friendship, but you were too busy going through my panty drawer, scavenging through my personal effects.
That's not what I did.
Then why did you skulk? Why couldn't you look at me?
I don't know. I needed some distance.
Distance?
I needed to separate from you.
Oh, well, that you did, my darling, that you
You
did.
wouldn't know what it's like to have to get out from under you, from under your influence. You couldn't possibly know what it's like.
Everything I told you, everything I shared.
Ruth.
What a fool I was.
No.
It was all material to you. That's all it was.
That's not true.
Here I was, regaling you with stories from my life, like the pitiful old woman you've made me out
Pitiful.
to be.
No.
And all the while you were taking notes.
That isn't true. I was listening. I was cherishing every minute.
I'm sure.
If I had told you and you disapproved, listen to me. If you had disapproved, I don't know what I would have done.
Uh-huh.
I could never have written it. How could I have written it? I might have lost you, and I would have lost my novel too. I was scared.
Poor thing.
I didn't know what to do. You were the one person who could advise me, but I couldn't discuss it with you.
Clearly you listened. You listened, all right. You took it all in and set it all out there for the world to see.
What did I do that any good writer wouldn't have done? That you wouldn't have done yourself? A story grabbed me and wouldn't let go.
No, dear. That's where you're wrong. It didn't grab you. You seized it. It didn't seize you. Have you no conscience? Have you no moral conscience?
I have a conscience.
Do you? Do you? You went ahead and did it anyway. That's what's so remarkable. You did it anyway.
What did you teach me? You taught me to be ruthless.
So to speak.
If something captures your eye, you told me grab it. Remember? Like a good photojournalist, go in and shoot.
Ruth is evading her.
Remember, don't walk away. That's what you taught me. Don't worry about feelings. You taught me that. Worrying about feelings is sentimental, and God knows we mustn't be sentimental.
You've crossed the line, though, sweetie. You've crossed the line.
Why? Because it involves you?
I would think that would enter into it, yes. I was a fellow writer telling you these stories, not a longshoreman or a waitress, for God's sake. A fellow writer. It's a matter of professional courtesy, I would think. What did I need to do? Proclaim them off limits? Plant a flag? Make you sign something? You were my friend, God damn it!
I wish you wouldn't use the past tense.
Once upon a time, writers made things up, you know. Can you imagine?
Oh, come on. You used people all the time. Don't give me that shit. Whatever you could get your hands on.
Oh, if I used people for my stories, my dear, they were people who had no voice, no outlet for expression.
Well, is that so? That's awfully condescending of you, Ruth. Really. How do you know? How do you know that?
It's the truth.
You're always making these little pronouncements. When did the little people you built your career on choose you as their advocate?
I gave them a voice where they had none.
Well, there you go. We all play God, don't we? We all put words into people's mouths. You taught me that, Ruth.
No. What you've done is something else. It's something else. I have a voice. I have the tools.
Ruth.
Use your own goddamn life. If yours isn't rich enough, too bad. That's not my problem. Don't thumb a ride and hop aboard mine. Hitchhiker.
Ruth, what do you make me out to be? You make me sound like the most mercenary person imaginable. The last thing I wanted was to hurt you.
Was it? Oh, I don't know. I think you might be deceiving yourself, dear.
How?
You destroy me and claim my lover for yourself? You take him to bed with you? I think you wanted to destroy me.
That's ridiculous.
You wanted to obliterate me.
No, I wanted to honor you.
Honor me.
It was my gift to you.
Your gift?
Yes. I was honoring you for all you've given me.
Well, I don't want your gift. How do you like that? I'm very sorry. That isn't very gracious, I know. But your gift doesn't honor me. I want the receipt so I can exchange it for something else, but you're telling me there is no receipt. It's take it or leave it.
What exactly is so offensive to you? I don't understand it.
You don't?
No.
You've stolen my stories, Lisa. My stories. What am I without my stories? I'm nothing. I'm a cipher. I'm as good as dead.
But they aren't your stories, Ruth. Not anymore. They stopped being your stories when you told them to me. They changed my life. So how can they be solely your stories anymore? You don't own them.
Oh, no?
No. You are a part of my life now, Ruth. Our lives intersect. My experience includes your experience. I am the sum of your experience and my experience and everybody else's experience that I've ever come to contact with.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell your stories. Not the way you would. I couldn't possibly do that. But I can take your story, your experiences, what I know of them, what I make of them, and extrapolate. That I can do. But my book doesn't pretend to be the truth. Miriam isn't you.
Oh,
She isn't.
I know that line, Bubba. Believe me, I've used it.
All right. She's as much me as she is you.
That lonely, pitiful woman pining for Delmore Schwartz.
No. The young, impressionable disciple who wants nothing more than the high regard of her mentor.
Is that what you were going for?
Yes.
Oh, then you failed miserably. I don't see that at all.
That's because you don't want to see it. You've totally willfully misread her. Miriam isn't pitiful. She's vital, funny, self-ironical. She sees the affair for what it truly was, in ways you obviously cannot.
What is that supposed to mean?
You're the one who calls it the shining moment of your life, for Christ's sake, Ruth. That's what you told me. You wear it like some kind of masochistic badge of honor.
Who the hell asked you?
You've let that one brief affair define your entire life.
I have not. That's absurd.
You're like a professional war widow or Miss Havisham in her wedding dress or something.
That is not who I am. That's insulting.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna lay some post-feminist crap on me now, huh, Lisa?
No.
How only you, with the benefit of a modern feminist perspective, can put my affairs in their proper place? Is that it?
I wanted to reclaim for you a part of your life, okay? I wanted to give something precious back to you.
Really? And who the hell asked you? Who asked for your revisionism of my life?
Oh, boy.
Not I. Not I. I've got news for you, kiddo. You wouldn't be where you so smugly sit if it weren't for women like me.
Yes, Ruth.
It's our own damn fault. Our dirty work made your arrogance possible.
Please, spare me the you girls have it easy
The
shit.
way you take and take with this astonishing sense of entitlement. And not only have you usurped my love affair, oh no, but you've taken my entire milieu and passed it off as your own.
How? I don't know what you mean.
You don't? Jewish intellectual life? New York in the 50s? Delmore is one thing, but to take on territory that is so identifiably mine.
How is it yours? Do you have dibs on the entire spectrum of Jewish experience too, Ruth? Exclusive rights?
Look at my body of work. Look at it. You know it backwards and forwards, for Christ's sake.
You were a point of departure, like any inspiration.
It's my voice! Damn it! What you've done is mimicry. It's not art. It's not homage. It's parody. You had no right.
No right? What about my right as an artist?
You have to earn that right. Who gave you the right to write about Jews?
What? Just because I haven't lived it, I can't write it? Is that what you're saying? I can't write about Jews because I'm not Jewish? Do you really
I'm
mean
not
that?
saying it's bogus. I'm saying it's bogus coming from you.
And-
Inauthentic. irresponsible.
And when you got into the heads of welfare mothers, that was what? Social realism? Ruth, come on. You're not being fair. You're contradicting everything you ever taught me about writing.
And what do you know about fair? The things you've got me saying, thinking, doing.
Not you, Miriam.
Either you're being disingenuous or very naive. Of course it's me. There is no fact. There is no fiction. The line is blurred as far as everybody is concerned. It is me. So it might as well be me.
Ruth.
Everybody knows you were my protege.
So?
So you're pandering to the public. Like some tell-all rag.
No.
You know how it is. You read a book, and all the time you're guessing. You're smacking your lips, and you're guessing.
So what? So what if they do?
This is my life, damn it. You've appropriated my life. Maybe you thought it was up for grabs.
Ruth.
Maybe you thought it was fair game.
No,
Maybe you thought I'd be dead by now.
that's a horrible thing to say. How can you
Don't
say
act
that to
so
me?
shocked, my darling. I'm sure it occurred to you. It would have occurred to me. You've taken my life and turned it into pulp.
How can you call it pulp?
Those sex scenes, Lisa. Oh, dear God, didn't I teach you anything? What did I tell you about sex scenes? They always read like automotive mechanics, darling. Bodies and parts. That scene in the stairwell of her walk-up. Oh, the huffing and puffing, the creaking of the stairs. Oh, I
Forget
guffaw.
Forget it.
Oh, his wet wool coat smothering her. his bear-like hugeness pressing into her. Deeper and deeper and deeper. He was impotent, darling. The great love of my life, your romantic hero. He was so destroyed by drinking dexedrine by then there practically was no sex. Not sex as you so grotesquely imagined it anyway.
So what? My book is fiction.
Your book is shit.
She tosses a copy to the floor. Lisa goes to it and picks it up.
You know what I would do if I were you, darling? Not that you asked me. If I were you, I'd buy back all the copies, every single one, and set a nice big bonfire in Tompkins Square Park. It shouldn't be a total loss. At least the homeless could warm their hands on it.
If I were in your place, if my life inspired a disciple of mine to write about it, I would be gratified.
Would you?
I would be honored. I wouldn't be doing this.
But the book isn't any good, Lisa. It's not going to do you any good at all.
A lot of people would disagree.
Pulp it. Shred it.
You know I can't do that. That's not an option.
Work out a deal with your publisher. They're going to take a bath on it anyway. Give back your advance. I'm sure they'd be delighted. They'll be getting off easy.
I can't believe you're doing this to me. You know how vulnerable I am. My first novel being published.
I'm only telling you what I think would be the mature and honorable thing to do. Admit your failure. Take the loss and chalk it up to experience. Admit your moral and artistic failure. Because if you don't, I'll do everything I can to stop it.
Stop it. What do you mean, stop it?
Stop it! Stop it! I've spoken to my lawyer.
You what?
Doesn't that sound corny? But I have. I called him today.
Oh, Ruth, this is foolishness.
Is it?
I've done nothing wrong, nothing illegal. You have no legal grounds.
I don't know, but I do have moral grounds. I still have sense and I still have friends, and I'm going to make a really big stink.
You don't want to do that.
Oh, I do. I've got to. You've given me no choice.
You will only get the opposite result. People will want to read the book. And then what would you have accomplished?
I'm not going to let you get away with this. People have got to know I was robbed.
You don't need that kind of publicity, Ruth. It'll be humiliating. A great teacher suppressing her student, the champion of free speech. I'd hate to think of you degrading yourself like that.
And what have you done to me? What have you done?
You wanted me to write about him, didn't you?
I what?
Don't talk about it, write it. Remember that, Ruth? That was one of the first lessons you ever
Oh,
taught me.
please, you're going to throw that in my face?
Telling a story takes away the need to write it. It relieves the pressure.
You actually believe that shit?
Yes, of course I believe that, Ruth. You taught it to me. The day you told me about him, I knew by the way you told me, by the language you used. It had been written in your head long ago. When you said it out loud that day, when you released it, I knew. I could sense you were giving it to me.
Giving it to you?
You wanted me to use it.
Bullshit. That has got to be the worst argument for theft I've ever heard. What are you saying? I left the window open?
I'm not saying it was conscious.
Look, I'm perfectly capable of writing my own stories, thank you.
But face it, Ruth, you were never going to write this one.
What? Excuse me?
I'm sorry.
How do you know that?
I'm sorry, but it's true.
What? Do you think you know everything about me? Do you think I was stupid enough to reveal everything to you? How do you know I haven't already written it?
Ruth.
How do you know I haven't? Maybe it's here.
She pulls open a file drawer and tosses files to the floor.
Maybe it's right here.
Ruth,
Maybe I have written it.
Please.
Just because I didn't run to a publisher with it.
don't do this.
Lisa touches Ruth's arm to calm her, but Ruth violently pulls away.
This isn't about you and me, Ruth, and you know it.
Oh, no? What's it about?
It's about death.
Death. Is it? I see.
Death is the third party here. You're angry at death,
I'm angry at death. Thank you very much.
and I don't blame you, Ruth.
You don't. How kind.
Please, don't be angry with me. The last thing I wanted was for you to be angry at me. I know the past few years have been terribly, terribly rough for you. I know that, and it pains me. It does. I'm so sorry you haven't been feeling well.
I feel fine.
What I mean is, I think it's the disease talking, Ruth. It's not you.
I see.
It's clouded your thinking. You've displaced your anger onto me, and if that's what you need to do, fine. I'll take the beating, but I'm not your enemy, Ruth. I love you.
You love me.
Yes.
Tell me, what did you think my reaction would be? Silence, approval, what?
I don't know. I thought you'd feel pride, satisfaction
Satisfaction?
for having been a good teacher.
Lisa moves close to Ruth, puts her arm around her and holds her for a moment. Ruth doesn't respond.
Ruth.
Go home.
What?
Breaking Lisa's embrace.
I can't talk to you anymore.
Don't say that.
Our trust is broken. I feel like I've been bugged. My dear young friend turned out to be a spy. A spy who sold my secrets.
Ruth, please. We can talk about this.
Look, do me a favor. Take out the trash with you. I have a leaky bag.
Lisa goes to the kitchen, returns with a trash bag, and looks at Ruth for a long beat. Ruth's back is to her.
Ruth.
Go home.
Lisa takes her in for one last moment before leaving, shutting the door behind her. Ruth is alone. The phone begins to ring. It rings many times. We think she may finally answer it, but she doesn't. Lights fade slowly. End of play.